back long ago, women were not allowed to come out. Okay, so to tell you the history and what I know is like my grandmother studied till school. Okay, after that she got married at the age of 14. By the time hormones took over, she was married.
Yeah.
And then and then coming to our parents, they are working. Okay, so there's a change, there's a whole lot of shift that had happened between that generation and coming to our generation. There's a rapid change because of technology, right? But there are people of our generation who are not ready to accommodate the the success of a woman, I can say, or the way women are coming out and doing the
Right.
jobs like men.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it, but the context that you're trying to set here. So, so the point is that, as you said, technology has played a big role. You have given access to internet to a lot of people, but you have not educated them right to use it, just to begin with, right? Anybody, any youngster has access to internet, can look up stuff on the internet, but they don't know how to use it. It starts there. Then moving on, we, especially in India, when we talk about Indian parents, we don't give enough emphasis on educating our kids in a way how to treat each other. It is not about treating women, it's about treating each other. So it
Individuals, yeah.
begins there. Yeah, individuals. It begins there that you should know that everyone has to be treated equally. The moment that you realize that everyone has to be treated equally, you would not have to fight for a specific gender. Right.
Yeah.
When we say that women or maybe our grandmothers and everybody were married at a very young age because they weren't treated equally at that point. They were thought to be not fit for opportunities. But then those who were given that opportunity and they excelled, people saw, an entire generation started saying that, yes, women can do stuff, right? And that is where the push came in, but it's not enough. Because there's an amazing book by Sheryl Sandberg. She is Facebook's COO, and I'm sure a lot of people know about it. It's called Lean In. She talks about specifically the atrocities women face at workplace, the issues that women face at workplace. And there she says that 30% of women who join the workforce, for example, just like us who graduated from college, 30% of women, they join the workforce. Over the years, do you know it's just 2% of the women who are still in the workforce when it comes to CXO level? Only 2%. So there's a huge drop over years. In a course of 30 years of your career, what happened? That in a mix of 30, first of all, 30 is actually a very less number to begin with. But still, 30-70 mix turned to 298 mix. Only 2% of women. So there are said unsaid issues that happen at workplace which push women. And I'm not going to say that it's just the external issue that push women to leave work. There are internal issues as well. Not everybody is ready to take up challenges. There are certain women who decide on their own that they don't want to continue working, they don't want to do this. That's okay. But then there are a bigger section of women who would still want to work, but then the workplace is not conducive or people are not ready. So when you were saying that men in general don't know how do women speak, so
Yeah.
that's true. But that is where the importance of gender sensitivity comes in. That we need to sensitize people. We need to tell them that, okay, there are different genders and these are their primary, this is their need, this is their requirement. For example, I'll give you an example. In the firm that I was working prior to this, I'm not going to name one of the three. There are women working in that firm, so obviously a lot of them go through maternity cycle, and when they're pregnant, the parking of the firm was actually far away from the office. The parking was far away from the office, and in general, people don't know that this would be an issue for a pregnant lady. They know it, but they are not sensitive towards it. So as a result, what you would say, the person who would have taken their maternity leave, say from the 8th month or 9th month, they would start taking the leaves from the 6th month or 5th month. So
I understand. Yeah.
do you see the number of months that we are losing for a person who
Mm.
was working and might be a great contributor just because there is lack of sensitivity there?
Mm.
So how does this come? If and I would also blame people don't come forward and raise these issues. For example, if somebody is facing this, they have to come forward and raise this issue to
Inform. Yeah.
management, yeah, inform about it. And that is why now, if you see in corporates, we have got all these small groups that are mostly oriented towards understanding the issues that women have, so that you can actually take better decisions. It was something as simple as reserving a parking lot closer to your
Uh,
workspace,
yeah.
especially
Yeah.
for women
Woman.
who are
Who
working,
are. Yeah.
who are
Yeah.
working and who are pregnant. That's it.
Correct.
That would
Correct.
have resolved the issue.
As simple as that, because I have seen, like, in the corporates, there is a parking for the differently abled people, right? So in that case, why don't they have another parking slot for women? There won't be much percentage. You need not reserve so much
Yeah,
of parking for them, right?
yeah,
So
and
yeah.
to be honest, it's not about having a parking slot reserved for women. No, nobody's asking for that. It's about having a parking slot reserved for
For,
pregnant women who can
yeah,
avail it.
that's what I meant. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one more thing I just wanted to talk about was about, yeah, as you said, right? Most of the men doesn't know, or to term it as you termed it, the sensitivity about the other gender. Okay. So where should you think the men should look at? Should they talk to their parents? I mean, to be very particular, the mother, or should they talk to their friends, or where should they look at? What do you think?
Okay. To begin with, to be honest, I won't say most of the men don't know, because more and more I have got amazing men in life who understand what issues are. But yes, there's a huge section of people who don't know, and they don't mean harm, but they're just not aware of things.
Correct, correct. Yeah.
The first thing is start looking in your house. As a kid, we look at our mothers, right? We look at them tolling, we
Mm.
look at our fathers, and when I began this conversation, I told you it is not about treating one gender with special benefits. It's about treating everybody equally.
Equal. Yeah.
So the moment you realize that there is something that probably a woman or somebody else needs that is special, try to understand why, and try to be respectful towards it. The only thing that you can do is be respectful towards people, right? So,
Yeah.
so that is very important. Insensitivity at the moment is prevalent because we know things, but we don't know logic behind them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then generalizing. Uh, at times, we generalize that, maybe it's a job for men. Now, who has put that thought in your head? Why do you think?
Mm.
Yes, there are certain jobs, I do agree, by virtue of our physical, uh, the way we are made up. There are certain
Mm.
tasks that women can do, there are certain tasks men can do. I totally agree to that. But there has to be logic behind things. Not because you've
Correct.
been told over years that, men go out and work, and you follow that, and you don't question the logic. That is the issue. You need to question, you need to analyze it for yourself. And I think the moment I would not just restrict this to men, that would be very unfair. I would say for women as well. To be honest, there are a lot of women who don't understand life of other women.
Ah, yeah, yeah. I was
So,
about to
so
ask you this. Yeah.
yes,
Glad that you
so it
brought. Yeah.
yes, so it's equally important for everybody
To
to do
understand.
that. And while we do that, we also have to make a point. It's not about that men have to always take the first step to understand women. Women as well can come forward and explain things. As I was telling you, that in that incident where there was no parking for pregnant women, as in closer to the office,
Yeah.
they somebody can take a step and explain it, right? So
Yeah. It's a.
it's an
Yeah.
initiative.
Just.
It's an initiative
Yeah.
which has to be taken from both the ends. And I'm glad that people are bringing it up. We are having this conversation which talks about it, right? So it's an initiative which has to come from both the sides. But yeah. There's a long way to go.
Yes. So coming to the, yeah, you had spoken about the corporates and the work life. So you had worked at like 5 years, right?
Yes.
So from your experience, what do you think? Like, we as a corporate society, are we doing good enough in terms of equality? Like, the day-to-day work. Are there? I mean, did you face any taunts, as in, hey, you are a woman, so you need not come forward to take this up, something like that, or do you think that it's fair enough?
Okay, nothing is fair enough. To be very honest, there's a long way to be saying, and it's not just for women; it's for anybody, people with disability, people who require special needs. It's not fair enough. But yes, things have changed. To be honest, people have become polished. They don't tell you that, oh, you can't do this job, but there are different ways of saying that. For example, I'll give you an example. I was there on a site visit, okay, with one of the firms. I was there on a project site visit, and you understand how project sites are. You don't have obviously best of the facilities and everything. And they, during after the meeting, I had to just freshen up and use the washroom. Okay, so I just asked them where is the ladies' washroom on site, and the project manager looked at my face, and they realized they didn't have a ladies' washroom because
That's
women usually don't visit sites. They just have one washroom, which is men's washroom. So do you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm saying
Yeah,
that
yeah.
something as small as having a separate washroom at project site puts you at a back foot, and you suddenly realize, oh, okay. Or other than that, if you go to project sites, you see that laborers, they would be so surprised to see that, oh, even women are engineers.
Yeah.
There was this one person who told my site in charge that, अरे
Huh?
लड़कियां भी इंजीनियर होती हैं. They were so yeah. So these are the small things, and I don't blame
But
them. I
very
don't blame them.
serious. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't blame them because they are just not exposed. As we said, that they are not aware about how things have changed. So you keep saying that you, at times, luckily it has not happened with me, but at times there are uh, situations when planning your career, when planning your progression in the company, you will also keep in the back of your head that, oh, she might go get married, she might take a break. I don't know whether we should give her this important project or not. At what stage in her life she is in? Is she about to get married? Is she about to get pregnant? It should not.
Yeah,
You would have seen that. You're working
yeah. not
at the
just
end of the.
for not just for women, when I try to venture out to another company, specifically the HR asks, are you single or married? you know
Exactly, exactly.
I
And
experienced.
it gets it happens at multiple points for women.
Okay, even for the projects, when they take.
Yeah, yeah. Even for the project, it happens at multiple points. So these are the small things that actually make you wonder that how does how does that matter?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
shouldn't impact my career planning, right? Everybody who is in corporate or doing their own, whatever, freelancing or running their own business, they're smart enough to plan things for themselves.
True.
We should not be the ones generalizing it for them, or we should not be the ones taking decision under an assumption. Well, one of my managers used to say, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. So
So true.
yeah, it's a funny thing, but it makes so much of sense that don't
Sense.
assume, ask that person. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing when you brought in about the workers there in the site, when they asked someone if there would be an engineer. Okay, I was about to get there. Okay, so if you remember when there was a rape case that had happened in Delhi. Sorry, I forgot the name. There
Are you
was
talking about
a
Nirbhaya?
yeah, the nearby area. Yeah. So I just watched that documentary. If you remember, it was released. The India's
Yeah.
Daughter. That guy says after 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. girls are not allowed to. I mean, roam outside, and that was the reason that had triggered me to kidnap the lady who was there, right? So there's a huge gap, isn't it? Like, I don't understand that gap because see, people who are studying like me will understand that it's very common that there's no point. See, there were times when there was darkness, and if ladies roam, there might be such kind of assumption that she's looking for something. Okay, but in the times where each of your street is lightened up, and why is that thought?
To be honest, to begin with, it has got nothing to do with the street lit up or not. Somebody can be roaming around at 3 a.m. in the morning in the darkest of the street, should not be subjected to anything like that to begin with. Now, I do understand the point that you're asking is what sort of mentality is that?
What
How
is
can they
that
assume
gap?
that
I mean, this.
that gap is education gap in a country where you have demographics that are so vast and so varied. You have and you've got access to internet and access to things to people, but you have not educated them right. That is bound to happen. We still have a lot of we hear about fatwas that girls are not allowed to eat noodles. Girls or women should not be wearing jeans. We hear ridiculous stuff at times, right? So it's that education gap. I am not talking about school education or convent education because you'll meet educated men and who would have such weird or non-progressive thought process, right? It is about basic human education of treating somebody with respect and equality. It all boils down to, people blame, at times they hold feminism for being female chauvinism, but in the end, you would not need any of it. You would not need any of the women empowerment sessions or any empowerment sessions if we start treating people equally,
Equally,
irrespective
yeah.
of
I
their
like individuals, like treating
yes,
the other human as an individual rather
agree,
than looking at their gender, isn't it?
exactly, exactly.
I just want to bring in one example. So one of my friends was sharing to me. She was telling that she was talking to a manager, and all of a sudden he brought in the topic like, if you compromise yourself, I'll get you on site immediately. Okay, in the office, in the cafeteria, he said so. Okay, so I can understand her position. She must be shocked. Okay, so I
She should
have.
have reported him. She should have
Hmm,
reported him right away. That
yeah,
is where,
but,
now I totally get what you're saying. That is where the issue with we talk about empowering women, but we don't really empower them. She should have reported this case, but why most of the women or most of the people they turn a blind eye towards it or they don't report it is because they think that nothing is going to happen, right? The fact that we need to start escalating. You can't say that a crime doesn't happen because it's not reported. You can say that we say the number of rape cases probably have decreased because what you look at the stats is a lesser number, but there's a possibility that the cases are not being reported. And rape is an extreme case, but in normal situations, something as simple as workplace harassment, non-physical harassment,
non-physical. Yeah, yeah,
non-verbal
yeah,
non-verbal harassment,
yeah, yeah.
they are so common, but people don't report it because they feel that, oh, maybe I'll get into trouble. So we need to create a system which is conducive for women to operate. That's
Yeah.
very important for them to feel safe. And again, I would say it's not just women; it's anybody for that matter.
True.
The bottom line is you start treating people equally by virtue of what they can do, what they cannot do, and and I think we would do good. At the same time, education, basic education is so important. Giving 1 GB per day internet data pack to a kid, but not giving them sexual education,
True.
it's not right.
True. not, I mean, people normalize everything these days, every damn thing they normalize, but they did not normalize. None of the big media section or the education system or anyone, the corporates, none of them had taken the initiative to normalize sex. Okay. I take weekend classes. Okay, there some of the times the data comes as sex. Okay, the gender is named as sex. A bit I get jerk. Okay, I get a jerk. Oh, my mind gets alert. Okay, that shouldn't be there is what I'm trying to say. Okay, it should be as simple as a normal word. Okay, so as you said, the rather than giving the normal education ABCD, not just that, people should have the awareness about.
Okay.
Should
Everything,
they?
it comes down to creating sensitivity about other people. If we have got different genders in the world, what are the different things that we should know about them? It's very important. And it is important to educate people and not let them figure it out on their own. Because a lot of people get to know about things through their friends or friends of friends. That's not the right way. And especially when
Yeah,
it comes to teenagers.
yeah.
So,
Teenagers, I can tell you the correct age to either go good or go bad, that is decided in that age. And when you get the wrong pace, trust me, even the brightest child is gonna suffer.
yeah, I think it starts right from the day you are born, to be very honest. It starts right because you pick things up and you pick things up when you're very young. You look at your parents, and that's why it's very important even for parents to be sure of what will they do in front of their kids. The way you treat your domestic health, for example, that talks a lot about equality. The way you treat them, the way you treat other people, or the way you treat each other, the partners. So kids are going to pick that up, and slowly that is the foundation. So if we start treating people
You're
equally,
right.
we'll create equal opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to tell a statement here. So when
Mm-hmm.
when people plan for pregnancy and they are trying to bring in another soul into this world, I guess they have to sensitize themselves first, as in they have to make sure that their behavior is proper. They should be mindful so that they train their younger one in a better manner, even though if they have done bad things in the past. Okay, because as you said, right, the younger ones pick up what the elder ones are doing. They don't listen. Okay, you can't sit and tell moral stories and rhymes all the day which has moral stories. Nobody picks them up. Only the actions at the end of the day would will be seen in the younger ones, right? So what are all the chances that you see for this younger generation, like generation who are doing their BTech and who are passing out of their college? What are the chances that you see? Like chances as in how well they can pick up, especially the women.
I know what you're asking. I understand what you're asking. So the most important thing is to have experience. Go out, experience different things. Now we have this liberty of having great experience, even if you're not visiting countries, even if you're not even within our own country. Go meet different people, broaden your perspective. It is very important. Why? Because you might become a parent tomorrow, but you need to have that broader perspective of things to understand different point of views. At,
Yeah.
from a generation that used to think, from our grandfathers or great grandfathers' generation, when they used to think that women are supposed to cook, or they were trained that way, to a generation where we have got fighter jets being flown by women.
By yeah.
There's a shift in perspective, and that has come because people started they broadened what they know. They went out, they met people, they traveled countries, and that's why I feel that getting experience is so important to develop your understanding of the world. And as young parents, or even if I don't even talk about young parents, I would say as individuals, it's very important for us to meet different people, to know different stories, to understand. Even if you talk to, for example, you'll have a colleague. Even if you talk to her about what are the issues that she faces in office, You would pick
Yeah.
up so many things that you would not have even thought about. And those are the small things that later on you can talk about to your kids. It's
True.
so important to pass on that learning. So
Mm-hmm.
one
Yeah.
is the first thing is to make be knowledgeable on your own. And when I say knowledgeable, it's not about reading books or anything. Yes, definitely you should do that. But experiential learning is so important. And then once you have that, pass it on.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, like, since you talked about networking, so you when you were talking, it's not that easy task for a woman to talk to a new person. Okay. So there are challenges there where people with malicious intentions will also be there. Okay. So how do a girl deal with that? So you're getting my point, right? So people
Yeah,
try to lose others, like when you go to someone and you're trying to ask something, though they don't have certain info with them, they try to lure, and they try to deceive just because
yeah,
it's a woman.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I mean, how do a girl start off with the networking thing? How should she
yeah.
have it in
I
mind?
I I do understand. Okay, yeah. So it's actually it's for both. To be honest, it's for everybody. And what I'm going to say is for everyone, networking is not easy. Networking requires you to step out of your comfort zone, talk to people probably you've never spoken to, but at the same time, you need to be very you need to be very careful. You need to figure out. You don't have to always read between the lines, but you have to be cautious that okay, if there is something, my very basic thing is if somebody is offering you something which is too good to be true, it is probably too good to be true. So then you
Okay.
need to take a step back and figure out okay, what is it, because when you're networking, to be honest, it's a two-way street. When you're networking,
Mm-hmm.
you are probably building a network, the other person is too, right? What is the benefit that other person is getting in helping you out? At times people are nice. They do want, for example, if you're networking with a HR professional, or if you're networking with some senior analyst or somebody, they recognize talent and they think that okay, the company can benefit from this talent. But at the same time, you have to be very cautious that what is it that I'm getting out of it? What is it that the other person is getting out of it? That is one. Secondly, always draw a line. Be very professional when you're networking.
Right.
Being professional is the key. When you put your foot down and you are professional about the conversation, the way you approach the situation, people would know that uh, they can't just take you for a ride, right? It's very, and again I'm saying it's not women or men, it's for everybody, because
Yeah.
people get fooled very easily when they're networking, or they might actually uh, there can be incidents. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, be cautious about how you talk, be professional in your manners, and read up if you're talking to somebody, if you're trying to network with someone, uh, understand what do they do, what are the
Mm-hmm.
different aspects of their job, what is it that you're interested in, what did intrigue you to talk to them. That's very important. So that brings in credibility, because at times you might just say reach out to somebody, say over LinkedIn, because it's obviously digital world right now, uh, and say, hey, are you free to have a couple moments of chat or something? And they might respond to you out of courtesy, and then you don't know where to go about it. So it's very
Yeah.
important to do your research, understand about the person that you're networking with. What do they do? Why? What exactly is your purpose to network with them? It's not, networking cannot be confused with building up friendship. Friendship might be a result over years of networking or whatever. It might come out eventually, but networking is with a purpose. So if you're
True.
looking for a new job, if you are moving to a different career or industry, so you need to figure out people who can actually help you know that industry better. Do your research and then approach them with those certain set of questions. Don't bombard them with questions, but build a conversation. So those
Yeah.
are the things. It's not something that can be taught immediately. It's something that comes over with experience. And the first step is stepping out of
To
your
start
comfort
off.
zone. Yeah, to start off, and be very professional in the way you approach. Yep.
Yes, Nitya. Yes, very great point. So, what are your closing comments? Like, uh, I mean, you have traveled way from home to the other place. Okay, you must have seen many things. So out of those things, if you have to put them into one sentence or two or three sentences also, it's fine, but conclude and tell for both the men and women,
Yeah.
as we
I,
have spoken this long, we have spoken it not just for women, it's about individuals recognizing the other
yeah.
individuals and giving them the space that is required. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's being human. So beyond
Yeah.
this, if you have to caution or if you have to give a suggestion to the women of Gen Z, what else would you say?
I think I would, again, as I kept on saying about equality, I would give the suggestion to men and women of Gen Z. You have to be open minded. You have to go explore and experience things. You have to build perspective. It is very important. It's very important to read, watch things, talk to people. It's not just your books or your school that's going to give you perspective. That is important. Degrees are important, but at the same time, you have to step out of your comfort zone, take up that chance, probably meet people, have conversations, and understand perspective. So
How the
that
world is
is one.
going?
How does the world operate? Things that are normal in one country may not be normal in the other country, but that doesn't make them wrong. That is the difference in perspective, and we need to be sensitive towards that perspective. We need to build that sensitivity in the way we operate, and that is going to help you even when you are handling multicultural teams. So
Right.
that is, yeah. So that sensitivity is very important, and it comes only when you move out. When
Out
you,
of
and
it.
I'm not saying that you always have to move countries to understand that. You just move out of your comfort zone. You meet
Correct.
new people. You don't just stick to that one small circle that you've been holding close to you since your childhood. No, you have to build up. You can have friends, close friends, but you also need a bigger circle of people to help you broaden that perspective. Pick your circle very wisely.
Yeah,
So
at the
that is
end of the
something
day.
which is very important. Yes. So we can probably close it by saying that just explore, experience things, build perspective, and be very open minded.
So
That
as to
the moment,
accommodate every other
yeah,
perspective in the world, and to break the limitations that are there
yeah,
in our minds from the childhood, that we had picked up unknowingly. It happens
because
unconsciously.
right, because something that you thought so while that okay, maybe this is not right, might be right in some other culture. So
Mm.
that is the flexibility in the perspective that we need to build in, and that comes only when you experience things. Experience is very important. When you meet people, you understand different issues. That's why I said that a lot of men probably don't understand what issues women face at workplace because they're not aware of it.
Yeah.
The moment you just sit down with a colleague and try to ask her that what are the two, three top issues that you face at work, you immediately get it. You immediately
Correct.
understand the things that you've been ignoring, right? So
Mm.
it comes with being open-minded, being uh, understanding that not everything is in the way that you know it. There are different ways, there are different perspectives, and we need to be mindful of that. And we, at the end of the day, we need to be very respectful of that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of issues would be resolved if we agree to disagree. But that's the problem. People don't agree to disagree. They stick to their side, and then they think that if somebody is of a different opinion than yours, they're your enemy. No, they aren't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think
I
that that
have
that
come
would be
across
my
Yeah, I have come across people, not just men and women. It's about, they don't accept the other's perspective. They don't respect it. So very rightly
exactly
said,
because
Nitya.
their perspective has not been broadened enough to understand that there can be different opinions.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
understand. Yeah, very, very, very thank you, Nitya, for coming in to talk to me. Okay, I know you must be very busy, but still, thanks for your time. Very great points that you have brought out. I'm very happy. Okay,
I'm so
again,
glad,
after,
Manju. Thank you for inviting me to have this quick chat. I'm so glad we could do this because it's been, I guess, a couple of 3, 4 years since we have met. But
yeah,
and
4 years.
and you are arranging all these series. It's quite nice.
Thank you, Nitya. Take care. Bye bye. I'll talk to you a little
And
later.
yeah, wish you all the best. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.